So for today's lesson, we're going to be in Chapter 7, Section 3, and we're going to be working with more multiplication properties of exponents. Once again, we're on textbook page 433. So the first thing we're going to do is our little homework review. So for the one problem, we had to rewrite each expression using each base only once. So what I mean by that is, you see how our base here is 7 and our exponent is 3 and our other exponent is 4. So what we want to do is we want to rewrite it using the 7 only once, because it's kind of redundant to see 7 to the third times 7 to the fourth. So what we're going to do is when we're multiplying exponents like this, when we're straight up multiplying them, we're going to end up adding our exponents. So now it's going to be 7 to the 3 plus 4 power. 3 plus 4 gives us 7 to the 7th power. Now, if I told you go ahead and simplify, you would do 7 to the 7th power in your calculator. But at this point, I just want to know what it is using each base only once. So you don't have to go ahead and multiply 7 times 7 7 times. Same thing here. 9 to the 6th times 9 to the negative 4 times 9 to the negative 2. So our base here is 9, so we write 9 and then raise it to the, when we're multiplying these, we add all of our exponents. So we do 6 plus negative 4 plus negative 2. 6 plus negative 4 plus negative 2, negative 4, negative 2 gives us negative 6. So now we're left with 6 plus negative 6. So we're left with 9 to the 0 power. Let's try this one. Simplify the following expression. 4t to the negative 5 times 2t to the negative 3. So we do 4 times 2 first. So what I like to do is I like to pull out all of the numbers in front, all of the coefficients, pull them all out. So we take 4 and 2 out. So we're going to end up multiplying them. And then group all of the bases with these exponents together. So here we only have a base t. So we have t to the negative 5 and t to the negative 3. So what we're going to be doing is t to the negative 5 plus negative 3. 4 times 2 gives us 8. Negative 5 plus negative 3 gives us negative 8. So you're left with 8t to the negative 8. But remember, we don't like negative exponents, so now we got to get rid of this negative 8 exponent. How do we do that? Well, we got to put t to the 8th down into the denominator. When we do that, it now becomes a positive 8, so your final answer is 8 over t to the 8th power. Let's try this one. 5x to the 5th times 3y to the 6th times 3x squared. Pull all the numbers out first. So take 5, 3, and 3. We're going to end up multiplying those. 5 times 3 times 3. And now take all of your bases that are the same and group them together. So we have x to the 5th and x squared. So we do x to the 5 plus 2. And then we just write y to the 6 because we can't combine. Remember, x's and y's, you have to combine like terms. So we go ahead and do that. 5 times 3 gives us 15, times 3 gives us 45. 5 plus 2 gives us 7, so we have 45x to the 7. And we can't do anything with this y to the 6, so we just rewrite it. So your final answer is 45 x to the 7, y to the 6. Now we're going to start with 7.3. So when we're going to raise a power to a power, we're going to end up multiplying the exponents. And what I mean by that is you're going to see something like, it's going to be in parentheses, a to the m raised to the n power is going to be equal to a to the m times n. What I mean by that? So I give you down here in this example, in parentheses, it's 9 squared, and then close the parenthesis, all to the 6th power. Well, when we do this, all you're going to have to do is multiply when it's a power to a power. So this is our exponent, and this is another exponent here. Power to power, multiply those two numbers. So now I just rewrite the 9. So now we have 9 to the 2 times 6. 2 times 6 gives us 12. So your final answer is 9 to the 12th power. Now we could go ahead and put that in our calculator. I would not recommend multiplying 9 by 9 times 9 12 times. I would put it in the calculator, hit the 9, and then that little caret button, I believe, which is above the division sign, and then you put in 12, and then you'd hit enter, and you'd get your answer that way. That's a lot easier than doing 9 times 9 times 9 times 9, and so on. To raise a product to a power, raise each factor to the power and multiply. So what I mean by that is you're going to have in parentheses, you're going to have maybe a number, maybe 2 variables, maybe 3 variables, however it's going to be. You're going to have parentheses, and then on the outside of those parentheses is going to be an exponent. So if I give you in parentheses AB, close the parenthesis, to the nth power, the way you're going to solve it is you're going to raise the a to the n times the b to the n. So down here, we have a little example. 4x in parentheses, and now all of this raised to the 5th power. So what we got to do with this 5 to the power of 5 is distribute the power down. So we're going to go we're going to bring it over here. So it's going to be 4 to the 5th power times x to the 5th power, because we're going to distribute this 5th power backwards. So now we get 4 to the 5th times x to the 5th. We could go ahead and multiply 4 times 4 5 times, but for this, I just want to show you, this is in theory what we're going to be doing when we have a product to a power. You kind of take this exponent and distribute it back down. So I told you every day for as long as this goes on, I'm going to show you a different pet of the day. Today's pet is my sister's friend's dog. Her name is Pandora. As we can see, Pandora is a little dog model. She likes to have her picture taken. She's very photogenic. Here, she's kind of soaking up the sun. I guess she's outside. Maybe she's at the park. I don't know. Maybe she's in the backyard. Who knows where she is? But as we could tell, Pandora's posing over here. So 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend Pandora as a dog model. So let's practice some examples we've just covered in 7.3. Okay, so we're going to simplify the expression. In parentheses, we have n to the 4th power, close the parenthesis, all to the 8th power. So because it's an exponent to an exponent, we're going to end up multiplying these two numbers now. So now you have n to the 4 times 8. 4 times 8 gives us 32. So your final answer for this is n to the 32nd power. Now for these, I'm going to start giving you guys combinations of numbers and variables. It's completely okay. The higher up you guys get in math, all of this is pretty much just going to be variables. Like there's not really going to be too many numbers. It's all pretty much just going to be using the variables and kind of manipulating them around in the equations. Let's simplify this expression. C squared all to the 1/4 power. It's okay. It's a fraction. That's nothing to be worried about. You could still multiply the same way. So now you're doing c to the 2 times 1/4. When we multiply by a fraction, we multiply straight across. So we do 2 times 1 gives us 2, and it's all going to be over 4. We can simplify 2 over 4 to 1 over 2. So your final answer here would be c to the 1/2. So if I just give you a fraction over here, all you're doing is the same thing. You're just still multiplying by that fraction. If I even reverse where the 2 and the 1/4 were, same thing. You're still multiplying those two numbers, so it's completely okay. So now let's simplify this expression. Now instead of just giving you a variable, now I'm throwing in an extra number. So now we have, in parentheses, 3 times n to the negative 6, close the parenthesis, to the negative 4th power. So what you're going to do is we're going to take this negative 4, this power of the negative 4, and distribute it back. So we're going to put it to the 3. We're going to put it to the 3, and then we're also going to put it to the n to the negative 6 power. So what we get is 3 to the negative 4 times n to the negative 6 times negative 4. First thing I like to see here right away, we have a negative 4 power right here. We'll talk about what's going on right here in just a second. This negative 4, we can't have a negative exponent. So what do we got to do? Make it automatically into a fraction. So now we're going to have 1 over 3 to the positive 4. Okay, now it's going to be all multiplied by. The reason I didn't go ahead and drop these down into the denominator was because this was negative 6 and this is a negative 4. Negative times negative is going to give us a positive. Now if this was a positive 4 and this was a negative 6, then I would go ahead and put it down into the denominator. But since they're both negatives, I didn't have to worry. I knew the two negatives would cancel each other out and become positive. So now you're left with 1 over 3 to the 4th times n to the 24th. Multiply across, and we get n to the 24th over 81, because 3 to the 4th is 81. If we do 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So this is that problem simplified. We can't do anything else with it. So these problems are pretty much going to have a variable and then a number somewhere in them. Let's try this one. 4j squared, k to the 6th, and then now we have in parentheses 2j to the 11th power, close the parentheses, all to the 3rd power, and k to the 5th. Okay, a lot going on here. Yes, there's a lot of variables, but that's okay. So your first step is to take this 3rd power and distribute it back to everything that's in those parentheses. So now we're going to have 2 to the 3rd power and j to the 11th, and we're going to do 11 times 3. So now we're left with 4j squared, k to the 6th, 2 to the 3rd, j to the 11 times 3, and k to the 5th. So what I did next was I went ahead and simplified 2 to the 3rd and this j to the 11 times 3. I didn't change anything else except for that. So we have 4j squared, k6, 2 to the 3rd gives us 8, j to the 11 times 3 gives us 33, so j to the 33, and I just rewrote this k to the 5. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out all of my numbers, just the numbers, leave the variables there. So I'm going to take out the 4 and the 8, and I'm going to put them right in front. It's going to be 4 times 8. And then I'm going to group my like variables together. So I'm going to find all my j's and take their exponents. So I have j squared and j to the 33rd. When we multiply exponents, we're going to basically be adding them. So we have j to the 2 plus 33 times, and now I'm going to go ahead and get my k's, k to the 6th and k to the 5th. So now I go ahead and simplify. 4 times 8 gives me 32, and then now we're going to work with the variables. j, 2 plus 33 gives us 35, and then 6 plus 5 gives us 11. So your final answer is 32 j to the 35, k to the 11. So guys, your homework is on plus portals. If you guys have any questions, please email me asking me your guys' questions on Friday, February 3rd. On Friday, April 3rd, you guys will be having a quiz on sections 7.1 through 7.4. So it's important that if you guys have any questions, you ask me as soon as possible.